All right, great. Now we're back, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with the colored labels and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be looking at this image here, and I absolutely know that I cannot do everything I want to do with this image in Camera Raw. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my label thing, and I'm going to call this one Retouch. So I'll give that a red label. Is this one going to be able to survive Camera Raw and just live by itself in Camera Raw? And I'm going to have to say absolutely. So I don't have a colored label for that right now, so let me go back in to Preferences, and all right, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to call this one Good to Go. All right, and that's number 7. So in there, number 7, Command 7, that's good to go. I know that I can actually do probably everything I want to do to this image in Camera Raw as well, so that's good to go. And this one here, yeah, I think I can do everything in Camera Raw with that one as well. So there we go. So now I've worked with the labels. You can see how we can start sorting these guys through. And once if I come over here and it says, gee, you have nothing with no labels on your 3 stars. If I turn that off now, I can see all the ones that don't have anything going on. So we've got that going on. So we've got some with labels, some without labels. These other 16 that you see that I have the check mark beside right here, I'm going to leave it up to you to go through your groups or follow along with these ones and apply some other labels based on what it is that you want to do with your images after you finished working through them in Adobe Camera Raw. The next thing I want to talk about is some of the other options and things that are down here that we can start sorting our images out based on this or that. We have the option to actually start sorting based on keywords. We do not yet have any keywords in here. I am going to get to that very, very shortly. You can also sort based on the date created, modified, the orientation. In other words, do we want to sort based on landscape or portrait? ISO rating, you would want to possibly sort based on ISO rating, because you might have a preset in Camera Raw that will compensate for high ISO by doing some noise reduction greater than what is the default. All right, so there's all kinds of options how you can actually sort things out. If you find that, as an example, all images shot with a lens like this is 35 to 105, 3.5 to 4.5, the lens is not that great. The quality of the optics is not that good. So what I might want to do is select these guys separately from the rest of them and apply greater sharpening to those images to compensate for the poor optics. Now, in this case here, I have the model option showing here. I also have the serial number. And that just means that I've got in my collection images that were shot with 2 different camera bodies. So again, I can sort based on camera bodies, and if I had 2 cameras identical, such as a 2 D700s, wedding photographers do this, or let's say I am a wedding photographer or an event photographer and I am hiring out someone else to actually shoot and cover this event with me, and they happen to have the exact same camera as me. Well, if their camera is a little bit different than mine as far as the internal setups are concerned, then what I could do is sort based on serial number. And then I can post-process those images based on the differences between that second shooter's camera and my camera. Okay, now we're back. And what I want to talk about is very, very important. It's keywording. And a lot of people sit there and go, oh, do I really need to do that? Keywording and all this kind of stuff. And believe me, you spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes doing that. At this point in the game, you will save yourself hours over the lifetime of this image when you try to go search and find stuff later on. So what you're doing is basically adding value to your images. I know it's really hard because everybody wants to get in and start looking at their images. I'm going to ask you to hold back just for a second and do the star ratings, do the label ratings, add your keywords, and put in a description. All right, so how would we go about doing that? Well, what we could do is come over here and click on this image here. And then if I was to just expand this out so we can see a little bit better what's going on over here. First of all, we can see that we don't have any metadata being applied to these guys. I stripped all that kind of stuff out, dumped it all, got rid of it, and we're starting with scratch. Well, actually, I got creator and I've got possibly this down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new metadata template, or maybe I've already got one, I'm just going to apply it. So let's see. And I'm going to go under the tools for a second, and if I don't have a metadata template, then what I would do is come over here and click on create. In here I would give it a name, such as Option G on the Mac to create the copyright symbol, and then I would just type in the year and John Warren. There you go. And then I'd come over here and start populating the fields that I would want to have when I import my images and have this stuff applied. So what would I want to have applied? The job title, maybe not the physical address, but the city and the province, postal code and country, yes. Phone numbers and emails and websites, absolutely. Description, no. Keywords, no. Because this is something that's going to be global for every stinking image that you import, and you can't put in keywords or descriptions for every one of them. They're not all going to be, identical or the same. There's a couple other things you might want to do is come in here and put in your copyright notice, and then your copyright status. Never leave it at unknown. Come over here and put it on copyrighted at a minimum. All right, so I'm going to cancel out of that because I firmly believe that I already have some of these guys in here. Now, I don't have one for 2013 at this point in time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose this guy here, or I can come over and choose Ace Digital Image. It doesn't really matter. These are just different companies I've got going on. All right, so I come over here and I'm going to choose that guy, and I've now populated all that information in there, but there's one thing that I don't want. I don't want to have my address there. No good. So I have to come in here and I'm going to actually edit a metadata template. I'm going to come down here and I am going to edit this one here. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take out that information because I don't want that to be public. I have no issue with, never mind. And there's my phone number. This is how you can get in touch with me, but I'm going to change this stuff to at the photoshopchannel.com, and I'm going to highlight that because I'm just thinking lazy. I'm going to come back into here and I'm going to highlight that, paste that in. So there's my website, the photoshopchannel.com, John at the photoshop.com. That's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And we're just going to scoot down to see if there's anything else that I need to put in here, and I'm going to take that out, put a 3 in there, come over here, and I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm just going to put my name in here. That's good enough for that. Copyrighted, all rights reserved. See, today, going to come in here and I'm going to change this to 13, and I'm going to call this one the Photoshop channel. There we go, and I get to save that guy. All right, now what I'm going to do is select all of these, and I'm going to come under here. I'm going to go into Replace, and I'm going to choose the Photoshop channel 2013. I'm going to replace all the metadata inside these images with the information that's in there. Down the bottom you can see that the thing is processing and thinking, and if we come in here and check, we can see that we have all of that generic information sitting in there. That's absolutely perfect. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to deselect this so we're not working and So I'm just going to come over here and select one of them, and I'm wondering, there's got to be something that will allow me to deselect all of them. So deselect all is Shift Command or Command Shift A. There we go, rather than any other way. Let's just do it that way. What I need to do is I need to put some generic stuff inside here. So I've already got my descriptions set up on a Microsoft Word, or in my case Pages document. So I'm just going to pull that up for a second. There you go. And now I don't have any keywords in here, but I do have some descriptions that I want to use in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and grab this stuff, and that's from my Hubbard Glacier. And I'm going to come over here, and the images that I have of the Hubbard Glacier is this one, and I'm going to hold down the Command or Control key to select non-continuous items, and then down in the description in here I'm just going to Command or Control V to paste that in. So there we go. We have that sitting in there. Absolutely fantastic. Now I'm going to add some other keywords and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to select all of these guys, if it'll allow me. Come over here, do a Command A to select all of this, and I'm going to go into my keywords, and I'm going to type in Alaska, because then I'm going to use the semicolon. That is a word for everything. So Command Shift A to deselect everything that was there, hit the Enter key, whatever, it doesn't matter. Come over here, Hubbard Glacier has that. Come over to this is a cruise ship, it just has that, and this one has that. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this image and this image. I'm just wondering, this one for sure. All right, so those guys are all of Sitka as we're coming in. So now what I need to do is bring up my Pages document, and I'm going to come over here and grab the text for Sitka, copy that, come over to here, and with those guys selected, I'm going to paste that information in there. Now, what's the purpose of having this in here? I think it's invaluable to put in something in there, even if it's just generic, across the board something. So if we go to Hyde Park, then just go to the Hyde Park website, grab the first 3 or 4 sentences, copy and paste it, put it in the description for each and every one of these things, just adding value. It takes no time whatsoever to do this kind of stuff, and it just adds all kinds of value. Now, what do I mean by adding value and all that kind of stuff? All of these metadata fields here have a use outside of our little world. As an example, if you want to start shooting stock images, the stock agencies are going to require that you have not only a description of what and where that image is all about, you're going to have keywords in there. They might even ask you to put in uniquely specific for each individual headlines. So there's all kinds of stuff that you need to start filling out. At least I believe you need to, especially if you're thinking of taking this to the next level.